Hello. Oh, this is exciting. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our
Hi.
talk. Round of applause to CreatorIQ. This has been an amazing event today. So, thank you for having us. My name's Mikhail. I will be moderating this panel of gorgeous individuals today. Before I get into the who, what, and why they are here, I'm the managing director at Pulse Advertising. Ooh, woo! We're a social media agency. We do strategic consulting, influencer marketing, hence CreatorIQ, social media management, all those great things. The reason why we wanted to get up and have this chat today about authenticity is it does come up a lot. Actually, Vasu and I were having a very late night conversation a couple of months ago, trying to quantify what it means and how do you actually create authentic, or what is authentic, and how do you explain that to your stakeholders. So I thought it would be relevant for you all. And so without further ado, I'd like you to introduce you to Vasu Reed. Vasu, if you'd like to tell everyone what you're doing, why you're here.
I will do. Nice to see you all, and thank you for joining today. So I'm Vasu. I am the Europe lead for Nestlé Coffee across Starbucks, Nescafe, and Dolce Gusto. And under me, I have 30 European markets, and content and communication is my forte across the consumer experience journeys that are absolutely intrinsic to marketing.
And Vasu, we often talk about a holistic approach to marketing, and therefore also content creation. How do you sort of work towards integrating all the elements across the marketing mix, particularly across quite a broad remit?
Yeah, no, of course. I think there's a couple of key things to consider. Firstly is really understanding what role creators play within your communication holistic marketing mix. Are you really looking at the awareness side? Are you wanting to go into the engagement, or is it the purchase? Because once you decipher actually what your objective is, then from there it becomes really clear on the job to be done within the communication funnel. Secondly, when it comes to then thinking about your creator selection when you're working with your fabulous creator agency, Pulse. He paid me to say that, by the way.
A lot of money.
It basically means that you can really think about what type of creators work for that part of the funnel, because obviously different creator selections would work on the upper funnel or the lower funnel. And then thirdly, it means that you can really start thinking about the KPIs and the benchmarks that go with that, and that really ensure that you've got that real data analysis to say what's working, what isn't working, how do you want to optimize it moving forward. And then my final pointer would be, is if you're working with a really big creator or big influencer, like we have over here on our left, is how do you utilize them across the entire funnel mix? So if you're doing an experiential with them, how do you connect it back within the social space, so be it a podcast, etc. So
Keep that thought, because I'm going to be asking you about that in a little later. Moving on to the fabulous Sarah from Estée Lauder. If you want to tell people a little bit what you do.
Yeah, of course. Hi, everyone. So nice to be here today. First of all, disclaimer. If I sound like I'm out of breath, I am. This baby is all pushing up inside my tummy. So
There's
I'm
five
so
of us
sorry.
on stage today.
Sarah
is.
promised me that if he kicks it, I'm allowed to touch it. So just to let you know, the consent, it's already been agreed.
There is consent, guys.
I
don't
love
worry.
pregnant women. I think they're magical. She has an aura. I think we all agree.
She is glowing.
I'll let you know how it feels.
You guys need to be my PR. This is great. But yeah, so sorry. So if I sound out of breath, it's because I slightly am. But yeah, I'm very excited to be here today. So I'm Sarah Jonas, and I look after PR, comms, and content at the Estée Lauder companies. So really fortunate, really lucky for those that kind of don't know that our group has amazing brands, over 20 of them, kind of from prestige beauty, luxury, all the way through to kind of indie brands. So get the pleasure of working with all our fabulous PR teams, our social teams. So yeah, feel really lucky to be at Estée Lauder. I love it there.
And I guess working with so many brands, there's a lot of different challenges and opportunities that each present you, right? Particularly within creator marketing.
Yeah, I mean, there's challenges, but I mean, we always say that there's no favorite children, which is the brands. They're all fabulous in their own right, but equally, we're kind of across categories. So we have makeup, skincare, hair care, and fragrance, as well as that kind of broad reach across luxury all the way through to indie, heritage brands. So yeah, lots of challenges, but with that good opportunity. So I think a really good portfolio to kind of have fun with.
Speaking of fun, Riyadh,
Oh.
if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hiya, I'm Riyadh Khalaf, and I have never mastered the art of saying what I do, but I'll give it a go. There we go. I like telling stories on different mediums. I have done for nearly 20 years. Everything from pirate radio to social media to TV, podcasts, everything in between. And I just can't get enough of it. And over that time, sort of the stories that I tell have morphed and changed in different ways, from more LGBT activism type stuff to purely entertainment, and then now kind of into what I call kind of like edutainment. So it's like handing someone a piece of chocolate cake, but there's a bit of broccoli inside. So, you know, you'll get something from it, and hopefully will feel like you've had a little trip to an internet oasis after being on my page, but that's the goal.
I mean,
yeah.
Speaking of telling stories, some people in the room might be familiar with your very viral duck. How is Spike doing?
Yeah, my little baby.
Your baby.
Yeah. Yeah. So I found an egg in Devon, an abandoned egg, about exactly a year ago, and brought it home to London in a coffee cup with tissue, put it in an incubator that I got from Amazon Prime, and he hatched 30 days later, and then I raised him from duckling to duck, taught him how to be a duck in the park and all. And then
My hormones can't cope with this.
And now he's in a beautiful sanctuary in Norwich with 40 other rescue ducks with different ailments, injuries, backstories. Some are hit by cars, some have scoliosis. He's got 2 girlfriends. He's a little mallard, but he's chosen an Indian runner duck as a girlfriend, so trying to get on her has been an issue. And he's.
Do you have video calls with him?
Of course I do.
Okay.
We'll share that afterwards. We'll send the link around.
But yeah, basically, best single experience of my life raising that duck, and he's kind of made me realize I really want to be a dad of a human, and has kind of helped me niche down my content offering, actually, just to bring it on back home, you know.
Back to content creation.
So yeah, that's it. Wait, do I have any other ducky stuff I want to say?
I'm gonna bring it back, Riyadh.
Yeah, do.
Yeah, I'm gonna save you there. So it probably sounds straightforward, but long-term relationships do have their benefits. I've got a few ex-boyfriends who would disagree, but that's not what we're here to talk about. I'm sure that there's multiple areas where like long-term relationships benefit brands and creators. We know and see from the data that the algorithms respond well and reward creators with their content, seeing a few nodding heads there. But it's also really good in achieving authenticity, that you're able to sort of understand the relationship between the brand and the creator and be able to do something that's a little bit more meaningful. So Sarah, I know personally that a lot of the Estée brands do this really well. The art of building and maintaining those long-term relationships. What sort of learnings have you got from some of the highlights?
Yeah, I mean, we're in a room with people that understand it, right? Community for the long term really helps your brand have that sustained growth. And I think even Estée Lauder companies, we're all very guilty of working with creators on that kind of campaign by campaign basis. It's inevitable. Budgets come in, it's how you plan. But it's actually that sweet spot of what you do in between that time when the campaigns are kind of finished, but how you kind of keep that relationship ongoing. And I think that's really where your community comes through, because you have those spikes, as you should with the campaign, but how do you make sure you kind of keep that going? So I guess the way that we try to think about it at Estée Lauder and how we're trying to kind of plan moving forward is I would think about it kind of in 3 different ways. So the first would be to plan ahead. Sounds very simple, but I think, as I said, with budget cycles, it's very easy to get into the trap of just working with creators as and when you get budget. But actually, I think if you could sit down before your fiscal year or your kind of calendar year starts, whatever works for your brand, if you can look at the creators that you've paid and they work really well for you, to keep them in a roster. I think to also look out for people that are already talking about you that maybe you don't necessarily pay or work with, they just generally love your brand, trying to think about how to bring them in. And then completely net new. So to sit down, look at the landscape, who's new that's maybe talking about other brands and not you, how do you bring them in? So again, sounds simple, but I think plan ahead will really help you kind of get out of that trap of just at a campaign panicking and working with the people that you always work with. So that would be kind of like my first tip. Then the second would be around like what that strategy actually looks like. So I think mapping out almost the different objectives of the creators, because they all really vary, and that's where you get that authenticity, because I think you're going to have goals, but so does the creator. It's their business, right? It's their brand. So I think just really understanding, is it scale that you want? Do you want more UGC? Do you want a new community to tap into? Is it actually to convert? So I think really thinking about those objectives. And then I'd probably split it out into maybe kind of 2 different programs, a very clear kind of paid, 6 months, year long, however long you can kind of do that. Make sure it's kind of locked in, and that way you've got your best partners, your new partners, they kind of work for you on like a bit of a roster, and we know that works really well. We've got some really good learnings. And then equally, I think having another program that is really organic and really helps the micro creators kind of come up with their business. And I think this is a really good way to introduce more fun things, so you can kind of have competitions, missions, really kind of drive the content that way. So I think trying to structure it there would be really helpful. And just think about like what your brand can offer. So I think, you know, storytelling, make sure they understand the brand, invite them to good events. Do you have services that you can give them that they can come and experience? Can they come to the office, get involved in product development, reviews, ingredients, just really get them immersed. So I think, build your strategy, kind of get that locked in.
Yeah, I think getting people in the office sometimes is really interesting, right? You forget that that's not
Fascinating.
normal for everybody.
I
And
know.
actually coming in and learning from the product experts or learning from what the objective of the PR team is.
It's
it's
things
really
that we
important.
take for granted because
Yeah.
you work in it. And I think bring
Yeah.
them into your world, because equally you're in theirs. So I think kind of just sharing that in your strategy with the kind of the paid and the organic will really help build the community. And then my last plug, I would say, just as a key thing, is the team or the agencies that you have. A bit like press relationships, it is really down to the people. You can't do this without people, and it takes manpower, it takes time. So I think the understanding from your marketing teams, from your PR teams, that this is someone's role to look after that. We've got amazing PR teams, we're really lucky. We've got good agencies as well, second plug of the day. But yeah, I think teams is like a really important thing. So yeah, there would be kind of my takeaways for how to really build community on a long-term basis that would work for your brand.
And Riyadh, I can imagine long-term relationship sounds great, but there's probably also a trade-off when you've got things to consider like exclusivities and that sort of thing. So what can brands do for their creators with long-term relationships that can add value to what you're doing?
Well, first of all, I think, Sarah, you're amazing. My God, all of that's all gold. But I think just that last bit of what you said is a really lovely link into the long-term bit. Is, you know, there's a few brands that I've worked with for like 3 years ongoing. There's little gaps, but there's a real human relationship behind the business relationship, where at times we would hang out, me and either the person from the agency or someone from the brand, and I would go thinking, right, we're gonna talk strategy, and then we just have margaritas.
Yay!
Excellent.
On the company card, no names. But let me tell you, those 5 margaritas are worth so much more, you know, it's a loss leader, because actually what you're doing is you're making me see that you are also a person, not just money bags. You're seeing that I'm also a person, not just numbers on a screen, and sort of a gateway to eyeballs. And it just means that actually subconsciously, when people like me sit down to craft a script, make an idea, actually execute it, I'm putting in at least 20, 30% more effort. The shots are nicer, the music is better, it's punchier. I might
You want
add
it
in
to be good, right?
a couple of extra stories.
Yeah.
But it's because I like this person I work with. I know this person I work with. I want this piece to be a success for me and them, the agency. I wanted everyone to win. And I would be lying if I didn't say sometimes, you know, you get an agency or a brand that just make you feel like you're, am I allowed to say, a digital prostitute?
You heard it here first.
Can I say that?
I mean, you've said it.
It's
Well,
said.
I'm saying I feel like. Now, sex workers, amazing, all that. I'm just trying to, you know, whatever. Okay. What I'm trying to say is that you don't feel valued.
It's not just a transaction.
Yeah. And so, one, I'll give a name, HP, the computer brand, one of the best long-term relationships I've ever had. The guy that worked at the agency used to watch my videos when he was coming out of the closet 18 years ago. And I was still figuring out myself. And over that long, long time, he remembered, you know, actually, this might work for us for this campaign. And so I think pulling on your own experiences as a viewer, as a consumer, to help you cast and craft not just who you're bringing in, but how you're working with them and what stories they're telling is a great thing. What was the question? Because I think there was another bit.
You've nailed it. It's in terms of like, what does a
Thanks.
brand need to give back to you if it's going to work longer term?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then you want to obviously you want to leave the relationship at the end of a campaign thinking, do you know what, that was fun. I feel like I got to do what I wanted to do, and a big part of it is the creative side. You know, having that openness within your campaign restrictions to go, here's what we kind of want, here's what we really need, but over here, we want to see what you come up with. That is music to my ears. And then I get thinking, and I get to have fun, and then I pitch it. And I think it also weeds out the true natural creators, or just the people that are online,
Yeah.
you know, that are making stuff for money.
I think you've tapped into something interesting there, and this is something, Vasu, we've spoken about before in terms of navigating when we're trying to get that authentic storytelling. What are the guardrails that you put in place versus you know, what you're really wanting the creator to do and allowing them to grow on their journey as much as the brand is? How do you sort of navigate that within your team and also the, you know, the many brands that you're sort of working with across EMEA?
Yeah, well, firstly, just to completely echo everything that both of these two have said on partnerships. But I think authenticity and partnerships both go hand in hand. Ultimately, authenticity is a bit of a buzzword. Everyone's got their own interpretation of it. No one actually really knows what authenticity means. And I think the answer to it is actually every brand, business, marketeer within their own teams, they need to decipher what authentic means to them. And by that I mean you need to say, right, what are the things that I'm willing to let go of, and therefore let the creator, the influencer, do what they're meant to be doing and do the storytelling that you want them to do. But what are the hygiene factors, and so be it for Estée or for Nescafe, that we're not really willing to let go, because those are the true guardrails that we need to respect. But one of the things that we really need to stay true to is that when we're thinking about consumer centricity and putting consumer at the heart of it, and why we go to creator marketing in the first instance, is that we actually want to have that human touch to it, and it's not about having the brand fundamentals, kind of having those guardrails and that real polished element to it. And that's what we're trying to step away from or have a clear balance towards. So ultimately, I think you need to be really clear on what authentic means to you, and not have subjectivity in terms of what the outcome should be. You should let data do the talking at the end of the day, and give that fluidity to the creators to do that. But you do need to go on that journey internally to get to that conclusion.
It feels like a risk, right? Like if this isn't actually what our brand does normally, but it is what they're doing well, and if it's performing in a certain way, you need to trust that that's going to work again for you if that's the journey you want to go on.
Absolutely.
Sarah, I know you have no favorite children, but you do work with a lot of brands. Is there any examples of someone that you think is doing really well and achieving that authenticity with the wonderful creators that they're working with?
Yeah, I've definitely got some brands in the room as well, so I feel like I have
Gotta
to
tick
stick
those
with my favourite
boxes.
children. No, it's a really interesting point. I mean, the brief, it's such a tricky thing, isn't it? And I think because some of our brands, like I said earlier, some are luxury, some have heritage, so there are some guardrails in place sometimes that are difficult, and then sometimes you have kind of legal breathing down your neck if someone's put like the lipstick on their cheek, but it hasn't technically been approved, so that's where we get a bit, we can't do that. But yeah, other than that, I think for us and for our brands, it's the brands that kind of know what they stand out for. So when they've got their kind of hero messaging, any key products that they know really work for the brand, and that's where I think the authenticity comes through and the brief can kind of relax a bit. So brands that come to mind is Clinique, are obviously really great with their skincare, the science. So they do a really good job of educating creators at some really big events that they do, take them on the journey, make their kind of journey very personalised for their skincare needs. And then that way the creator can then go away and kind of make what they need to make with their skincare in mind. So I think being super clear on what you stand for in the skincare space, so dermatology for Clinique and things like that really helps. And then we've got Estée Lauder, very different kind of brand, obviously, with its legacy and its heritage, but they have a really strong campaign, which is because of my age. And because of my age, so it's obviously for Gen X, the age is kind of consumer. And you can't brief that. You can't brief for them to kind of tell their stories. So they had like Dame Kelly Holmes, Kat Deely, talking about their stories, all the way through to other kind of creators to share their experiences. And that's across skincare and makeup because of my age. So I think it's the brands that have that kind of legacy and storytelling, I would say, are kind of really strong. And indie brands, naturally, it comes to them quite well. Dr. Jart, Korean skincare, face masks, noodles, you name it. They're quite chilled about it. So, yeah, we have quite a good roster across the brands, which is fun.
I think you've touched on something interesting there. The brief is, sometimes the dirty word.
Yeah.
And I think as well, you're always trying to make sure you've got the guardrails in place. Maybe you've got some thought starters if you know some of the directions that you're wanting to go in. But I think brands that I'm seeing doing really well is actually like through storytelling versus it being like, here's this product, look how young I look now.
Yeah, storytelling's good, isn't it? We
Yeah.
had a good campaign where we did Own the Night was the storytelling.
Yes.
Yeah. And that was an open brief. It was almost like, here's some of the products we'd love you to use, but it's Own the Night, it's your skincare, your way. You let us know how you kind of want to relay that back.
The data proves well, right? Like, I mean, I think we've seen across the board when you've got that sort of openness and maybe there's a story that somebody already wants to tell, they can use the product as a medium and actually that's going to, I mean, Riyadh, as you were saying, that's going to make you feel more, enticed to do a good job. But also, I guess, if you've got stories that you're wanting to tell, bringing the product in as part of that is probably a little bit of an easier job then, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, God forbid any of you saw the Notes app on my phone. It's just, thought diarrhea, sorry.
I would love to see your notes, actually.
Okay, I'll show you later.
While feeling the baby bump.
It's all of these different ideas that never were. The like graveyard that could be, there's gold. There is gold in there, and I just love sitting down with a brand, a product, or even a brief in mind and going, how can this naturally fit in here? Like, I worked with Garnier, I think it was a year ago, for their Pride campaign, and I couldn't find a way to do it authentically, and then it was like, I just sort of did some gardening on my balcony while talking about my personal experiences of the importance of Pride, and then worked in kind of the product that way. And it's just that there are endless ways to do it, and this is the beauty of the internet and content creators versus traditional mainstream media, where if you can be more flexible creatively, why not? It's free eyeballs if you can push it just a little bit while it's not damaging the overall sort of the overall brand. And just another thing real quick is I love it when I get to speak to the brand and the agency collectively as a kind of a holistic, creative, pinball machine, rather than I need to speak to you to get to you. I don't even know what your name is. I don't really know what you want. I think they're telling me because they're just predicting that's what they want, but maybe it isn't. So I'll give it a go. Oh no, they don't want it in there. It's a waste of time for me. It's a waste of creative. So if we could all just, and I know that the brands are paying agencies to do this, but 10 minutes on a Zoom or a coffee.
Kickoff, briefing, technical.
It is invaluable to know the people that are on the other side of the wall.
I was just going to say quickly, because partnerships and authenticity, if you merge the two together, you want creators to get under the skin of your brand. And if you think as us as marketeers, we spend so long getting under the skin of what our brands are about, and then you really need to bring those creators on that journey. And I think then you're able to blur the lines between the two, and then the natural outcome of that is authenticity by default. So it's really going on that process to enable that. So absolutely, you should be on those calls and really understand what the needs are, so you can come up with a great outcome for it, better engagement.
And also, if you're worried, oh, this creator hasn't posted about our brand, I don't think they use it, they talk about this thing. It's a very low-cost sort of casting test if you've got time on your hands. Just send them some product and say, don't post about it, use it, feel it, try it out, and just be honest and tell me what you feel. Because 9 times out of 10, they will be completely honest. Not everyone's honest, but it's happened to me a couple of times where I've been sent something with no promise of anything after. And it's been just a great organic way to think, would I use this? Do I like it? Do I like it more than the thing I'm already using? I did. And then we got on a call and we came up with a cool idea. So yeah.
I love that. So key takeaways, long-term relationships work, but you need to make it worth it for the creator and consider sort of what journey they're going on. Storytelling is key, and making sure that the briefs have got those guardrails in place, but are open enough for that sort of to be able to go on that creator's journey. And then the connection between the brand and the creator is very important. So making sure that that's fostered and making sure that your agency is aware of the importance of that as well.
And working with Pulse.
We have a red flashing 00 in front of us, so I think time is up. Round of applause for my fabulous panel here. It's been amazing. I think that's it. I think we just get off stage. So thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the
Thanks,
afternoon.
guys.
See you later.
Thank you.
Or not.